Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar brought to you by New Anglia Growth Hub. My name is Alan Cowie. We've got James on the line as well. Hi James.
Hi Alan, how everybody else?
Yeah, good, thank you. Right, so today we're going to be talking about grants. First of all, I want to say thanks to Barclays sponsoring this series of webinars, and also the European Regional Development Fund, ERDF, funding the New Anglia Growth program. So today's webinar is part of the Business Festival, 10 days of networking events, workshops and seminars. If you want to see more, the full schedule's online at businessfestival.org. And today's webinar is really for all client-facing advisors, anybody that provides perhaps a professional service. We're going to be giving you a short briefing basically on what's available for growing businesses in Norfolk and Suffolk. So you may fit into one of those categories or another category, and really the aim of this is to impress your clients, find out about what's available, pass it on, and of course that makes you look really good. So that's what we're going to be doing today. Feel free to get your questions in at any time. There's a raise your hand button. We won't take questions at the end. We'll just do them as we go along. Keep this nice and short and sweet, and as time is a precious resource, we will just crack on. So what's in our toolbox? We're not going to talk about everything. We don't have time. We're just going to focus on those areas in bold. So we're going to talk about the micro grant scheme, the growing business fund, the employer training incentive pilot, and Be Anglia. There are other things, but as I said, come and ask us either on a one-to-one or drop us an email. We can talk about other things that are available. And the thing about our toolbox is things come and go. Things are replaced, and funding comes in waves, I think, is a fair point. So, you know, one minute we've got some funding, next minute that ends, but then it's replaced by other things. So just keep asking us, and we can tell you what the latest information is. So let's talk about grants then. James, I suppose we need to identify what a grant is and what it's not. Oh look, the man in the purple suit's back. They're not gifts, are they?
No, absolutely not. No, I think the first thing to do is manage expectations. And the first thing to say is that there are a number of grant schemes, and they do literally have millions of pounds in them. And that money is going to go to Norfolk and Suffolk businesses either to help them grow or help them improve their efficiency. So there is a significant pool of money out there. But again, managing those expectations, obviously it's public money, it has to have a certain set of criteria on it, and it's not always right for every business. And I know today we're obviously joined mostly by people who are professional business-to-business service providers, for example, accountants, lawyers, people in banking, even people that work people that work for some of the district councils, etc. And really the message is to communicate to the businesses that you speak to that there are these opportunities out there, and the only way they'll really find out about them, and the only way they'll really know if they can access them and indeed successfully access them, is to come and speak to us. So no, they're not gifts. It is public money. It is there to support something, to use the sort of speak that otherwise might not happen. It's there to do good and stimulate businesses in our economy. It says here you've got to plan and allow time for application. It's worth bearing in mind that there is a process to go through. I think what I would say is here at the Growth Hub, the majority of our role is about helping people to access those grants and make that process as smooth and as quick as possible. The common barrier is the perception of ineligibility. Most people assume that my business is not right for these grants, and that may very well be the case. But what I would say is that you might be surprised. So again, if I was talking to my clients, if I'm a solicitor, lawyer, etc., then say to them, look, it's worth just finding out. Let's get in contact with the Growth Hub, ask them a question, and see where we stand.
Yeah, I mean, we can find out just what a 5-minute conversation. We can find out whether or not that a project might be eligible. We always need to find out more, but you only have to ask a few questions to get to find out. So it's always worth just a quick phone call, isn't it?
Absolutely. My colleagues and I, are well versed and well experienced in the world of grants. We understand what's covered, what isn't. None of us are interested in wasting businesses' time, because it's very precious, as you said a moment ago, and also our own time. We want to get successful applicants for these grant schemes. So we only need a little bit of information about what type of business it is, what they're looking to do, what they're looking to spend money on. That's the key thing, really. And if we have a simple overview, and sometimes it can be just just a short email or a very short phone call to us and saying, what do you think? Do you think this is likely? And then we can sort of give you an indication, yeah, that looks like it's eligible, or no, I don't think that's going to be eligible for this particular grant or that particular grant, and we can move forward. So we can be pretty concise about giving that sort of advice, but we obviously we need that inquiry. We need to speak to those people. We need to speak to people's clients.
We've got the
We've got
target sectors. That's not an exhaustive list, though, is it?
No, I mean, every grant scheme is slightly different. They all focus on different grant schemes. There are some obvious sectors that are maybe more widely supported for a number of reasons. Manufacturing and engineering in its many forms is pretty much top of that list, mainly because of the sort of physical assets that they're buying. Plant, machinery, equipment, etc. You've got the energy sector, which is obviously massive here in the east, the energy coast. Agritech, again, we're a real centre for agricultural technology and advancing food production, etc. And other businesses that are predominantly business to business. There's no sort of blanket exclusion across all grants, but businesses which are retail, which are simply selling something to consumers, it's often difficult for them to qualify for grants. But any business that's doing something else, adding value to what they do or dealing with other businesses, then there is a chance that they would be eligible for one or more of these grants.
Okay, let's go through them then. We're going to start with the microgrant scheme. This is just launched just a few weeks ago. So I think we've already got about 40 odd, well, not applications, but 40 businesses contact us certainly just to find out more. So we're starting to get the first few applications in.
Yeah, I think it's in excess of 40. Certainly, I mean, probably over 100 businesses contacted and discussed about it. Certainly 40 looking to apply, and the first applications going forward to the panel for some consideration. So yes, as you said, it's only been live I think less than 2 months, but already a great take-up. So let's talk about an overview. It's a grant of between 1,000 and 10,000 at 20% of costs. So the thing to take there is that it's a minimum spend of £5,000. So the business, the client that you're talking to, needs a minimum spend of £5,000. But there's no upper limit on that. I must say, obviously the grant won't go above 10,000. That's the top grant, but that could be towards a project of literally any size. It's to help small to medium enterprises, that is small businesses or any business with fewer than 250 employees, a balance sheet and turnover of less than 50 million euros, which is about 99% of the businesses in Norfolk and Suffolk. It's to help SMEs become more productive or efficient and to help them to grow. Some of the grant schemes before have been quite prescriptive about this real link with growth. This is not so prescriptive. You just need to demonstrate that this grant is going to have a real positive effect on your business moving forward. The sweet spot, as it says there, is to help introduce new goods and services. So it's something you're doing in your business that's going to help it to grow, some way that you're going to better serve your customers, introduce something new, etc. It's a one-stage application form, which is obviously a great advantage. Many grant schemes work on a two-stage process, an initial sort of expression of interest and a sort of, you get an answer back, we think you're probably eligible for this, and then you go into the full application stage. With this, obviously, myself and our colleagues really at that first screening, so we'll tell you whether this is worth going for or not, whether it's relevant to your business or not, and then it's just a single stage application process. Revenue and capital investment, that's important. Most grant schemes are purely for capital investment. They're purely for buying one-off purchases, such as a piece of machinery, or sometimes it can be a single piece of marketing, like a website, etc., where you've got a discrete cost, a one-off discrete cost. This micro-grant scheme, there are some revenue costs that can be covered in there as well. I'm not going to go into too much detail because really what we need to do is people need to come to us and say, look, this is what I want, this is what I'm about to spend money on, will this be supported? It is important to say that the physical grant, the 20% grant itself, must be paid towards capital costs. So that's the purchase of something or a number of things that are capital, generally physical. We have a bit of a saying, something you can put a sticker on. But other revenue costs can be included in the overall project. So it's best to always come to talk to us. And then I see, Alan, you put in bold at the bottom there, job creation not required. That's important. The Growing Business Fund, which has been the flagship and still is the flagship grant scheme for Norfolk and Suffolk, was very much linked to job creation. We'll come to that in a minute and talk about the specifics of that. With the micro grant scheme, there is no stipulation like that. It's just, you've just got to demonstrate that this money is going to help your business, going to help your business to succeed and grow. If you are creating jobs, if there is a real big growth opportunity there, that's great. It's only ever going to strengthen your application. But these things, it's not entirely dependent on that.
Okay, let's move on. Remember, if you've got questions, we're taking them as we go through. So hopefully that's nice and clear on micro grant scheme. Then we've got its bigger brother, the Growing Business Fund.
The original and still the best, huh? So the Growing Business Fund. So yes, this has been around for a couple of years. Has paid out. I forget the exact figure.
About 15 million pounds.
Oh,
90 million as the match, and about 300. Oh, well, over 300 companies have benefited.
There you go. There you go. So it's done some real good. Grants between 5,000 and 500,000 at 20% of cost. So again, it's a 20% intervention. So therefore, obviously, you, as it says down the bottom there, business must source the other 80% of the money and demonstrate that they have that to spend. No difference there with the micro grant scheme. It's between 5,000 and 500,000, and there have been grants of 500,000 and larger figures like that granted. It is for capital investment only, so revenue, things that you pay for on a regular basis in the business. General business expenses can't be included, but investments that you're making in the future, so you've got new kit, machines, premises. I think, there's lots of ways it can be used. I think common applications are for buying or expanding premises, where you need to do some, you either need to buy some premises or you need to do some significant work to them to make them suitable for whatever it is that you do. Machines, which is often, all sorts of machinery, equipment, CNC lathes, packing machines, all sorts of things like that. New kit and equipment, including some IT costs and stuff like that. So very much things, generally things that are physical that you can touch and feel, they would be the sort of capital investments, but not exclusively. There are some other things that can be covered. Two-stage application process. So a basic expression of interest form. It is a very small form, 200 words on what the business does, 400 words on what the growth plan is, and 200 words on why this grant would really help you. Myself and my colleagues will help you draft that form. That goes forward for consideration. If it's a yes, then it goes to the full application process, which itself is not too onerous. They'll obviously want some financial details and a little more flesh on the bones about what it is you're going to do. Now, the key to this is at the bottom there, job creation is essential. Typically one job per £10,000 of grant. So yes, this pot of money was British money rather than European money, was there to stimulate additional employment in Norfolk and Suffolk. So the stipulation is that for every £10,000 of grant, you must create one new full-time employee. That's anybody who's working more than 30 hours per week. Preferably, obviously you'll have multiple jobs, preferably they'll be well-paid and skilled or highly skilled jobs, but almost any job can qualify, including apprenticeships. If it's only an apprenticeship and not other jobs alongside that, then that might be an issue. But any job creation can be considered.
Okay, so we've covered micro grant scheme, Growing Business Fund. Those grants are about growth and expansion, but we've also got a grant, I guess, a subsidy towards additional staff training.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big thing that we need more of in Norfolk and Suffolk is skilled employees. I think everybody who's out there looking for people to join their business will know that. We need to improve skills, particularly in certain sort of technical areas. And the Employer Training Incentive Pilot is a project that's around to help that. It's been running, well, I don't know, a year, 18 months now, been very successful. At the bottom there it says, be quick, ends February 2017, and I would, people need to heed that. It is coming to an end. We don't know whether it's going to be renewed. And again, hundreds of thousands of pounds have been paid out for training in Norfolk and Suffolk.
Kind of emphasises my point. Emphasises the point at the beginning, doesn't it? How you've got one minute you've got something, and the next minute it just disappears. But it could be it could be replaced by something else. It could reappear with a different name and a different form and different funding. But we just have to wait and see. We don't have any control over that.
That's it, Alan. I mean, you'd hope that all these things continue in one way or another, or as you say, maybe rebranded, or the money may come from somewhere else, but they've done the same things, and that's very often the case. Obviously, it's uncertain times at the moment with what's going on politically, with Brexit, etc. But this has been a real success. So it's a 25% grant or return of cash actually towards training up to £1,500 per learner. So anybody who's 19 years or over in your business who's looking at training costs, you can get a grant of up to 25% towards them, up to a maximum of £1,500. Obviously, that's any small to medium enterprises in Norfolk and Suffolk. Training must be additional, and non-mandatory. What that means is that if it's training that somebody must have to do their job, for example, a forklift driver must have a forklift license, certain people in food preparation must have certain health and safety certification and food hygiene certification, etc. Unfortunately, it can't cover anything that is mandatory. However, anything that is additional, that's simply going to help your staff be better at their jobs and help to grow the business and help to push things forward and be more efficient and more effective, that's supported. So again, it needs to be, it can't unfortunately be any qualification that's above level 4. So there's a national qualification framework that stipulates the level of qualification to that. Nothing can exceed level 4, but anything that's at level 1 or 2 or non-accredited will get that 25%, potentially that 25%. Anything that's at level 3 or level 4, including apprenticeships and qualifications, could actually get up to 40%. So that's, that will make a sizable dent in your training costs for level 3 and 4 qualifications. Yeah, there is a little bit of control over choice of training provider. The training provider must be registered with the scheme, but that's relatively easy, and therefore there are many quality training providers that are registered with it.
I think that point, though, is it gives businesses control over their choice of training provider. I probably should have made that clearer, but yeah, it is.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah.
So it's right, the business.
See what you mean now.
Yeah, business chooses who do you want to use. It's down to you.
Yeah, that's right. They must. I said they must be registered with the scheme, but that is literally just if they're not. If the training provider you've selected is not registered, it is very simple for them.
Yeah, it can't be in-house, or it can't be your mate.
Sadly, it can't be one colleague sort of training the other. It can't be an internal cost. It has to be an externally verified and invoiced cost.
Yeah, I think worth just saying as well. The application for this is so easy. I mean, there's one form you can download. It's on the Suffolk Chamber of Commerce website. It covers Norfolk and Suffolk, but the Suffolk Chamber administer it. But the form itself, it's really not difficult to fill in. You get that off to the chamber. They've got to do a little bit of admin work, but once you've paid for the training and everything's been agreed, they'll get your check out in no time. It is that simple, and there's no messing around with this one, is there?
No, let's face it. If you're going to incur these costs, you're going to train your staff, as many businesses do. You're going to incur these costs. Then why on earth not get some help towards that? And as you say, the form is really easy to fill in. The guys that are running the ETIP project are really good. They really want to help businesses access this. They do only have until February, and they do have a good pot of money left, but it is only there until February. So everybody's pulling in the same direction on that. So I would say, to the people listening today, if you have businesses that you're working with and you know that they've got some training costs coming up, or planned or anticipated, then let them know about the Employer Training Incentive Pilot. Tell them to get in touch with us, and we'll do the rest.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about then is it's not just grants, but it's grants, but also other support towards businesses that are incurring high energy bills. And there's 3 strands of support: the audit, the grant, and then the carbon charter.
Yeah, absolutely. This is, again, and going back to your point at the start, Alan, about how support can come and go and can sometimes be resurrected and renamed. This is not dissimilar to projects that have run recently. People may remember something called Grants for Growth, which was a project that was administered by Brecon District Council across our region, which came to an end last year. This is very similar to that in many ways. Basically, Anglia, that's the Business Energy Efficiency Project, is there to support SMEs with high energy bills by providing free audits and access to grants. So as you said, there are 3 elements to this. One is the expertise to come into your business look at your energy bills, look at your energy expenditure, which for a lot of businesses can be one of their highest outgoing, and to help you to look at ways in which you could tackle it, reduce it, improve it, etc. They do have a grant pot. It is up to 28%, up to a £20,000 grant towards the costs of improving that energy efficiency. So at the bottom there you've got eligible, sorry, get the teeth back in, activities including heating and lighting upgrades, voltage optimization, electric vehicle charging points, and renewable energy storage. They're just to name a few. There's plenty of anything that's consuming energy within your business, and you could, or your clients' businesses, and you could improve it and reduce the costs, then potentially the grant will look at supporting that. Excuse me. The third strand is the free carbon charter accreditation, so they can help you to achieve the carbon charter. For certain businesses, particularly those who are tendering for publicly funded work or with large organisations, or simply want to demonstrate to their customer base that they are environmentally minded and that they do care about the energy they use and they are an efficient business, that carbon charter stamp can really help. So three elements there: the audits, the help, the advice, the guidance, the potential grant scheme with up to 28%, £20,000 towards those costs of improving energy efficiency, and finally that carbon charter, which is a real rubber stamp to demonstrate to people that you care about those things within your business.
Okay, thanks, James. So in summary, the support landscape changes quite often. We've already covered that. I think the key bit, my message to you today is that you really don't need to be an expert in these grants. I mean, we've actually probably gone into more detail than is necessary, but just having just an awareness of what's out there so that you can just pass it on. So that don't be an expert. It's the triggers though, isn't it, James? What sort of things should they be listening out for when talking to clients?
It's simply a business which has got some level of ambition that says, oh, we're thinking about doing this, we're thinking about investing in that, we're thinking about growing our staff, we're thinking about what a new service we can offer people. It comes back basically to that growth ambition and some sort of expenditure, some sort of financial outlay that we're going to create in the not too distant future to help them to grow. That should be the trigger. And it's that phrase, oh, you might get a grant for that, or you might not, but you won't know until they speak basically to us.
Okay, yeah, and our final point really is to sum up everything we've seen today is there are grants for growth, efficiency, and training. And as we've already said, just ask us. You can contact us. We're here on 0300 333 6536. You can email us growthhub@newanglia.co.uk or tweet us at Anglia Hub. Okay, thank you very much, James. Wonderfully described, and we hope to see you all again next time. Get in touch with us if you've got any questions. Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.